I'd like to hear your thoughts about the perspective of an influencer when I contact him or her and ask them to join me on a new podcast or whatever. Like, what are most of them thinking and asking themselves? Because I'm eager to help their community by co-creating some valuable content, but I'm wondering how to say that in a cold email. I mean, sometimes I will have joined their email list, but not every time.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, number one, I would tell everybody this, you just have to ask. Like, don't overthink it, because in a lot of ways it will be a numbers game, and you're going to have to build smaller influencers to get the bigger influencers. You know what I mean? So putting yourselves in situations where you can meet people publicly, that's how Jocelyn and I got to be with so many influencers and on their podcast and do all these different shows and Forbes articles and things like that, is because we leave the confines of our house. We go to where the influencers are and we hang out with them. We put ourselves in, we go to conferences. We try to find small private gatherings where we know that we can even buy your way in. These high-end masterminds. People are like, I can't believe anyone would spend $3,000, $4,000 to go to a live event. We've done that over and over again because it puts you in with other people. Speaking engagements. Listen, if you can go speak somewhere, the biggest advantage of speaking about this topic, at a conference or anything else, would be you're backstage with the other speakers. Well, guess where the influencers are? A lot of times they're on stage. So I think that it's a numbers game, and you've got to just say, I'm just going to go out and ask and not overthink this first. And then those things will come in. How do you think that he should approach this from like what people are thinking, Jocelyn?
Yeah, I think that with the cold email strategy, and certainly you can do that, it's not going to be as effective as if you go and meet these people in person. But if you're going that route, I think that it's important that you let them know what's in it for them, how you're going to benefit them, and what benefit the relationship has to them, because these people probably get a lot of requests. We certainly get a lot of requests to do this or to do that, and without having a lot of people so far, it's going to be a little bit hard to do that. So I would recommend maybe trying to find someone that you do have a personal relationship with, try to get them involved, and then you can go to other people and say, hey, look, these people were on my podcast. Would you be interested? I know that works for us. We had somebody recently email us and say, hey, we had this influencer recently on our show. Would you also like to be on our show?
Yeah.
And I at least gave it a second thought because of that.
Yeah. It's kind of like a domino effect, Ed, whenever you're trying to grow a brand. And listen, that is part of the game. You've got to run with the big dogs. You've got to figure out how you can get in the right circles. The biggest point is just start asking. Don't turn anybody down. Find everybody. There's other people that are just ahead of you that would love the opportunity to be on a new podcast, just to get some experience and get their name out there. And then that'll put you up with other people as well.
So I've got 3 episodes now. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, because the first 3 were Gabrielle from Australia and Allie from Houston, and then Kevin from my town where he and I coached lacrosse together. So I'll keep that kind of blend going.
Listen, when I started my first podcast, when we first started doing this, I started a podcast for football coaches, because there was only 1 or 2 out there, and it took off really well. But look, this is no lie. My first episode was me by myself. The second episode was a buddy of mine who coached 8-year-olds in football down the street in the youth league. And then I got a high school coach. And then all of a sudden, I got a guy named what was his name? Josh Welburn, I think is his name. He's one of the biggest NFL guys, CrossFit guys on the planet. Then I got Hal Mummy. Then I started getting all these famous coaches on my podcast, and it just spiraled out of control. And it went from the youth guy that I sit in church with in Sunday school to Hal Mummy, a legend of the game, within 3 months. So just keep building it brick by brick, and don't get in a hurry. Eventually you're going to hit the one domino that's going to topple everybody else and get you into that influencer circle.
And when you do start getting those bigger names onto your podcast, ask them, who might you recommend to be on my podcast in the future?
Yep.
And they might be able to help you to get to know other people in that space. So there are definitely a lot of different strategies that you can use, but definitely the one that I think is the most impactful is if you can meet people in person.
Yep. Okay.
Right.
You just listened to an excerpt from this week's Flip Lifestyle podcast. To listen to the full podcast, complete with the show notes, photos, and links mentioned in the show, click the link on the description below. You can click on these to listen to Shane and Jocelyn answer other important questions about online business from this week's guest. For updates on future episodes, make sure you click subscribe.